What's good, y'all? What is good? It is your boy Cam and Cam Jr. So we're going to talk about the Detroit Lions first round picks, man. Should be fun, man. Detroit Lions have a very interesting history, um, with a lot more downs than they have ups. So we're gonna talk about some of those downs, man, and we're gonna get into the meats of all of this bad play that they have been accustomed to doing, right? But you know the drill. Like and subscribe to the channel, and we're gonna grow together, man. We got a host of things. We got a host of content for y'all. And as we inch closer and closer to the draft, man, our content is going to get even more serious. So, we're going to have a draft show um, coming up that day. So, we got to stay in tune for that. Um, Most likely it'll be the first round, but if our schedules work out, then it'll be the rest of the draft. But first round, most definitely, and then we'll go from there. So, but the Lions have been one of them franchises, man, that somehow just can't get out of their own way. You know, can't get out of their own way, and some of the draft picks they made just didn't make no sense, right? You know, you draft guys that might help you if you had other things in place, right? But coming from where they came from in terms of having Barry Sanders and Billy Sims, the running backs were there, right? That's kind of a part of their history. It seemed like they just forgot about that, right? Management was so bad, right? Don't kick the table. Don't kick the stop kicking the table, little boy. Anyway, but you look at this whole thing, right? This whole Lions team, right? They've turned the corner now, right? They turned the corner, and they look like one of the best teams in the league. So you think about them now, wasn't always like that. But got one more social to do, and we're gonna get into it so y'all can see what I'm talking about and not have to see me this whole time. All right, let's play that. All right, so let's get into the Detroit Lions, man. Let's get into the Detroit Lions. First off, let's share the screen real quick. All right, make sure it look good. Bada. Cool. All right, so as we always say in this series that I'm doing, to find out where they are, you have to find out where they've been. So, at the top of the list, you gotta look at Barry Sanders. Come on, one of the best players to ever play the game. One of the best players to ever play in a Lions uniform. Made the Pro Bowl every year he played. 10 years, 10 Pro Bowls, 10 All Pros, MVP. Yeah, right. But that's the reason why he retired early, right? So let's give y'all the skinny on that for the young people watching. As we got later into the years, um, they weren't bad, right? Like they weren't bad. I can't say they were bad because they made the playoffs a few times, right? They made the playoffs and everything, but like after you run for so many yards, right? 7 and 9, right? You know, you're still young, so you're trying to build the team, right? Get to the NFC title game in '91, right? So you think, well, we was close to the Super Bowl. We'll go back. No, '92 didn't do anything. '93 you get back to the playoffs, man, but team's not adding anything, right? And you get to the playoffs again, but it's really only you. Look at that score, 12-6. Seems like a lot of running, not a lot of passing, right? 10-6, same thing, right? But in a shootout game against the Eagles, right? You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot to be considered, right? And then same thing, nothing, and then we just get into times like that, and then it's last year, they don't do anything, nothing at all. So you gotta think that's kind of why he retired early, because they weren't doing anything, and he was in striking distance to pass Walter Payton's all-time rushing record, right? So you gotta think, right? You're having this success, and it's not really doing anything, right? I mean, you are the focal point of the team, and when you have a player like that, you gotta add something to it. So, right, we go all the way to the '90s, right? Billy Sims, obviously Heisman winner. I want to say he won the Heisman, everything. So good, right? But then you draft Andre Ward, 1990, seventh overall, and he didn't do nothing with him. Imagine him with Barry Sanders, Herman Moore. Like, come on, man. Like you could have so much success with this team. So but you go into the year 2000, you know, right? Barry Sanders is gone. Barry Sanders is gone. You're trying to rebuild the team and you want to do some different stuff and things like that, right? So you 99, you get Claiborne, who turned out to be pretty good. He played with my Rams for a year, but uh, he was okay. He was okay, right? But sort of. But let's start off in the year 2000, right? Let's do that. Let's start off in the year 2000, man, and let's talk about Stoker McDougal, right? He was with the Lions for 5 years, third team All American out of Oklahoma, right? Uh, okay, 20th overall, right? But you can tell there he wasn't starting at first, but later on it seemed like he got some playing time. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. So I'm gonna call this maybe I call it a meh, because he did get some playing time in, but I don't know, man. But you know what? I might call this a hit for them because he did play 2 full seasons, 2 years in a row, and then they was okay. Kevin Jones was definitely pretty good, so I call this a hit. It worked out, right? So then the next year they get Jeff Backus. Jeff Backus was there for a while, man. We're talking 10, 11 years with the Lions. Started every game and everything. So this is a hit, right? So you're building an offensive line, right? You got some things. At 99, you ended up getting Aaron Gibson, right? But he didn't even last that long, right? What you doing? Hey, what you doing over there? What you doing over there? Stop it. Stop it. Put that in your bowl. No, don't eat it. Give me that. Pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up. Put it in your bowl, boy. Anyway, so Aaron Gibson didn't work in 99, right? But you hit on Stover McDougal, and then you hit on Jeff Backus, right? So over the history of their team, they haven't had good quarterback play. So of course, in 02, third overall, you pick Joey Harrington. And to understand Joey Harrington's success or lack thereof, you gotta look at the team. Right? Look at the team. Look at the team. Right? You wouldn't even thought of it. Not at all. Not even a thought. Nothing. Anyway. But Joey Harrington, there was a lot. There was a lot. And Marty Morningwig was okay. But hiring Steve Mariucci the next season, though, was supposed to be a slam dunk hire. Right? It was supposed to be. I mean, Steve Mariucci, everybody knows Steve Mariucci from the 49ers, had great success with Jeff Garcia, everything, right? And coming from college, I mean, there was not that much production in terms of like, oh, wow. But Joey Harrington looked the part of a franchise quarterback. 6'4", 210 pounds, like he looked the part. But my point is, what you doing? My point is, as much as he played and as much as you tried to make it work, there was some good there. But as you'll see as we get into it, you gotta draft him some help. Right? You gotta give him some help, man. You gotta give him some help. See, they improved. Dre Blythe turned out to be a pretty good pickup. But like it's like, yo, they just didn't do much, man. Just didn't do much, man. And it sucks because we kind of waste an opportunity for a guy to get real good, man. You know, yeah, he threw a lot of interceptions, but there could always be more, right? Because they had talent. Sean Rogers was a beast in the middle, you know. So you have things like that, man. But you have to draft well when you draft a quarterback. That's gonna need a little work, right? But they didn't do that, right? So 03, they were worse than they were in 02. And they got the first overall pick, man. And rest in peace to Charles Rogers, man. He's no longer with us. But this pick didn't work out at all. Hey, leave that alone. And it didn't work out. Whether it be injuries, off the field actions, it just didn't work at all, man. He was out of the league by 2000. Shit, man, out of the league by 2005, right? This is your second overall pick. And when you look at that draft, like, well, first thing first, let's figure out why they ended up picking, right? Look at the production. So when you look at the production of a guy like this, it's like, well, yeah, okay, he should have been picked second overall, right? But what you doing, chicken boy? Anyway, but you have to look at everything, not just what he did on the football. You gotta look at everything from off the field tendencies that maybe we'll have a problem here. I don't know. But that's why they picked him, because he was damn good. But you got Andre Johnson, you know, who in terms of what I see in these numbers is that a lot of people looked at, I guess, Charles Rogers as being more pro ready. But if you look at Andre Johnson's career total in yards, you could tell that he had the higher ceiling, but Rogers had the higher floor. And I think that's why they went with it, you know. Could have drafted a lineman, defensive lineman. Like, you could have changed everything. But hold on. Be right back. Gotta let my son in. Anyway, as I was saying, you could have ended up drafting a lot of these guys, man. But it turned out to be alright. What's up? She taking a nap. She got a headache. Anyway, but but yeah. So Charles Rogers turned out to be a miss, man, and it sucks that he's no longer here with us, man. That sucked, man. But that was a miss, most definitely. But a hit was Roy Williams. That was a hit. Pretty good career in at Texas, 1,000-yard receiver. Turned out to be one of their best hits in this stretch of where they picked receivers 4 years in a row. He had a pretty good career. Solid for them. I mean, solid, 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 but inadequate quarterback play, and you know, not so much, man. But they needed a lot. But this was okay. This was okay. Pro Bowler went to Permian, I don't know, Odessa. So he was okay. He was okay. And then '04, they also picked Kevin Jones. Kevin Jones played with them for about 4 years and got 1,000 yards his rookie season, and probably would have got more if he played all the games. But you know, so looked like injuries were a concern here. So I'd say it's a hit because it started off really well and he was productive. So I call both of these a hit for them, right? But then '05 they go Mike Williams, who I believe might have been a tight end at first. Yeah, split end, tight end, something like that, man. But He was productive, dog. You know, he was productive. So I can't really say it's not a good pick, right? When you see how productive he was in college. But the NFL was just not kind to him. He was a what you got? What you got? What you got? What you got? You know, you really don't need these, man. You really don't need these. You really don't. Well, I'm trying to work it. Well, you can have it. But anyway, but this was not a good pick, man. It turned out not to be a good pick. And when you figure out who they miss out on, it gets really cringy. Really cringy. Like Aaron Rodgers, if you wanted to move up off of Joey Harrington, you could have did that this year, right? You could have got another running back. Braylon Edwards was okay if you really wanted to draft a receiver. Like I mean, you would have had a chance to get him, like theoretically, because you're picking at 10. But if you really wanted a guy, you could have moved up. But I mean, you could have went defense. You could have drafted a lineman, like something. You know, David Pollock on defense, DeMarcus Ware, Hall of Famer, like Pro Bowlers galore. Ain't nothing in there. Ain't nothing in there. I ate all of it. Anyway, but you could have did a lot, man, and it didn't work out at all. Didn't work out. And for a guy that had a pretty good college career, it kind of sucked. You know what I'm saying? I ended up coming back with the doing having to come back with the Seattle Seahawks. It was pretty good that season, and they ended up making the playoffs, right? Beating the Saints and everything. So, but after that, it was done. He was out of the league. So it never really materialized, right? '06, they made a defensive move, right? Drafting Ernie Sims, who was one of the highest rated recruits ever in the history of 24/7. So he was damn good. Um, damn good. Fast as hell. Made a lot of tackles, man. But I think they had him playing in the middle. And when you have a guy that fast playing in the middle, you're going to get caught in the trash. But he was very fast, and they probably should have had him at defensive end, outside linebacker, something like that, where he could use his speed, right? So that's more of a schematic error, in my opinion. But production, nonetheless, he was a hit for them, right? But like I said, I wouldn't have used them the way that they used them. And then '07, this is the first, second, third. This is the fourth of those receivers that they took in a row, or a couple years in a row. Um, and we all know Calvin Johnson. This worked. This worked, man. He could have played a whole lot longer, but he did enough. Hall of Famer. And he used his years on some bad teams, bro. Like 79 here, 0-16 and '08, 2-14, right? 6-10. You know, they finally make the playoffs, lose to the Saints. Then you back to the bottom, and then 7-9, 11-5, right? 7-9, and then he was done after that. So you you used a lot of his good years on some bad teams, man. I mean, for my whole childhood, the Lions have been bad, but looked like they was trying to change their misfortune. Now, Joey Harrington had been gone a very long time. That was '05. So at that point, they was trying to, I guess, quarterback by committee, which is never a good idea. But by the time they got Calvin Johnson, we're talking John Kitna, Dan Orlowski, JT O'Sullivan. These are bad quarterbacks. Except John Kitna. What's up, man? What's up? You gonna give me no hug? You gonna give me no hug? You gonna give me no hug? Get out! Get out! Get out of here! Get out of here! She grabbed. Hey! What are you doing back there? No. Anyway, but those are some bad things, man. But I will say once they got Matt Millen up out of there, once they got Matt Millen up out of there, that's when they started doing pretty good. But this is a hit. Ghoster Chilleris. He was there for about 5 years, and he's okay. He's okay. He played in a lot of games, and for Detroit, he was pretty solid. So one of those offensive lineman hits for them. He was solid, like I said, man. But like I mentioned, they went 0-16 and '08. So of course they got the first overall pick, and they went to get their quarterback. They got tired of the John Kitna and Dan Orlowski, right? And he was quite good. He was quite good. He was quite good in college at the University of Georgia. Um, One of their best passers ever. And then he went on to the NFL and just lit it up, man. These totals are crazy. 5,000, almost 5,000 again. Like, he was really, really good. Really good. And around this time, I want to say, yeah, that was Jim Swartz, right? And they was doing some good stuff, man. They're doing some good stuff. But they got rid of him too fast, man. They got rid of him. Yeah, you go 4-12, and it's like whatever, right? But you gotta ride the wave of the NFL, man. Sometimes you're gonna be the wolf, and sometimes you're gonna be the sheep. But some just firing these coaches, man, just because they have a rough season. Yeah, I don't like all that. But then they bring in Jim Caldwell around 2014. And it works out. They make the playoffs, but they do the same thing. They do the same exact thing. They make the playoffs, and this is under Stafford's time, right? They make the playoffs. They make the playoffs. They make the playoffs. All of that, right? Whatever. You gotta put it together. You know, you gotta put it together. And then after making the playoffs, so this is still under Stafford. You know, this is 2017, right? You fire him. Well, he didn't make the playoffs, but still winning season nonetheless. But then you fire Jim Caldwell and bring in Matt Patricia, and the rest is history. The rest is history. But when I say that Matthew Stafford was a lot of good for them, I mean it. He was. Then they trade him to the Rams. The Rams stabilize their quarterback situation and get a Super Bowl. And he's been pretty good for the Rams ever since. And now they're looking for another quarterback, of course. But they wasted his career, man. Inadequate coaches, Hey, nope, 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 nope. Don't do that, little boy. But in that round as well, you got Brandon Pettigrew, um, who I found pretty good with Oklahoma State. I thought he was athletic tight end. I was like, he gonna make some plays on the right team. Um, he was solid for Detroit. Played a long time. Um, so I call that a hit. Definitely one of Matthew Stafford's favorite targets. We'll say that. And then, like I said, they was ass again, and they picked Ndamukong Suh, right, in 2010. And this was a hit. I mean, Cameron. What? Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. So this was a hit. One of the best players, Heisman finalists in college. Like this was a hit. And around this time, they actually put together one of the best defensive lines in the league. I believe they had Ndamukong Suh. A few years later, I think they drafted Nick Burley. Then they had Ziggy Ansah, and then Kyle Vandenbosch. So four of the best defensive linemen that you can get on paper, should I say. Um, but he's pretty good, man. Like that was a good defensive line, but you need other things like linebacker. You need other things like safeties, like corners. You need stuff like that, and they didn't do that. They didn't do that. But they also draft Javid Best. They tried to address the running back, but his career was marred by a lot of injuries, like concussion type injuries, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good, bro. It was not good, and his career was cut short because of those said concussions, man. Um, that was it. He was done. And he was quite good. Javid Best was good at Cal, man, real good. But says you can only have so much brain trauma before it starts to affect your weight of life. So, but like I mentioned, in 2011, they ended up drafting Nick Fairley out of Auburn. Part of that Cam Newton led team. Nick Fairley was one of the leaders on defense. He was quite good, man. Now for the Lions, he was productive at being, a defensive tackle. Made some tackles, stuffed the run, things like that. So there was some productive play, man, but not enough. Even with my Rams in 2015, it wasn't enough to really stick around in the league as the league started to get a lot faster. But I call it a hit only because he did his job. He plugged the run, made some tackles, right? But then, they started to try to address the offensive line a little bit. 2012, draft Riley Reef. Reef. And he was there for about 5 years. Yeah, he was there for about 5 years. And for the Lions, let's check it out. For the Lions, he was a staple lineman. And really a pretty good lineman altogether, man. He played a lot of games. Played a lot of games, man. So I call this a hit. Call this a hit, man. Looked like he was a good wrestler too. And then 2013, like I mentioned, Ndamukong Suh, Nick Fairley, Ziggy Ansah, they picked him in 2013, and Kyle Vandenbosch as well was around this time. So you had a really good defensive line around this time. And I'm thinking, okay, well, shit, go ahead, Lions, let's rush the passer, But as I mentioned, this is around what time is this? Is this the Jim Schwartz era? Yeah, I think this is Jim Schwartz. Yeah, so this is around the Jim Schwartz era, right? And defense was his thing. He was a defensive coach. So the fact that they started to build their defensive line was pretty good. It's just that back half of the defense wasn't good. But for Ziggy Ansah was pretty damn good. He was pretty damn good. And for Detroit in 2015 when they made the playoff, or not 2015, what year is that? 2016, that's pretty good. You needed that. You needed that. He didn't really do nothing that year, but then came back in 2017, when they went 9-7, but didn't make the playoffs, right? That's just how the math works, G. But for them, he was productive. He was a productive player. 8, 7, 14, right? You're thinking, oh, we got an all-time pass rusher. You know what I'm saying? We got a dude that can play, right? And you do that, and then 18, right? You bring in Matt Patricia, and then all just hell breaks loose. Like I wouldn't want to play for Matt Patricia either. But nonetheless, this is a hit for the Lions. Like I said, they had a string of really, really good defensive line play, man. But as you'll see, mm, it got okay. I say it got okay. Let's get into it. So Eric Ebron, man, top 10 pick. Um, was playing not too long ago. I feel like he was just. Oh God, hold on, man. I'll be back. Get over here. The show is featuring you. You can't be out here. Sit down. Damn. Screaming like something wrong and you just being bad. Anyway, Eric Ebron, this was a hit. Like I said, they get into the Jim Caldwell era and they start to pass the ball a little bit more. And you need a vertical threat tight end. So this was definitely a hit for them. He was a hit for other teams too, by the way. So Pittsburgh and Indiana. So Indianapolis. So then they go in 2015. They go offensive lineman. Latham Tomlinson. He's still playing, by the way. But he did not play that long with Detroit. Uh, they moved on from him, but he's still playing and has been playing pretty good. Turned into a Pro Bowler with the Niners, and he with Houston now. So solid player, just not for the Lions. So he didn't play nothing but 2 seasons with them. So it's inconclusive in my opinion. But then they go tackle and Taylor Decker, and he's still there. Pro Bowler last season, so he's turning into a pretty good player. 16th overall, so this is a hit. Jared Davis out of Florida, he was really, really good at Florida. A lot of tackles, a lot of energy. Think that was a part of. Oh man, was that Jim McElwain? I think that was a part of his team. But he was really good. He was a hitter. He was sideline to sideline, man. And uh, there was some good. There was some good, but it's a lot of injuries, man. A lot of injuries, man. And he never played after 2019. But there was a lot of good around this time, man. You know, like I said, you're entering that Jim Caldwell era, and then we go into the Matt Patricia era, and let's just say he was a bright spot. He was a bright spot, man. But you know, getting rid of him, decline the option, and things like that, man. But there was some good. There was some good. So I'm gonna call that a hit. And then they go Frank Ragnow in 2018, 20th overall. He's still there. All pro, pro bowler. What do you need to say, man? All the starts he has made and all the games he has played. So that is a hit, in my opinion. 2019, they go TJ Hawkinson. But as good as he was, they traded him to the Vikings, and he got a whole lot better, a whole lot better. So this turns out to be kind of a miss on their part because he was pretty damn good. Iowa tight end, they got a whole bunch of them, but this was a hit nonetheless, man. So then we get to 2020. I believe we are out of. I think we are out of the. Let's go back. I think we're out of the Matt Patricia era when we start to get to 2020. Yeah, so he was fired in the middle of the year, which wasn't surprising. He was ass. And then Daryl Bevel, quarterback guru, um, he turned out to be with them for a minute, and then they just had a rough season that year, man. They had a rough season, man. Patricia got fired, and then Daryl Bevel ended up getting COVID, and they didn't win no games, and then the interim coach for him ended up losing one game. So rough season for the coaches, man. But like I said, we end up getting into a different time, man. So 2020, they take Jeffrey Okuda, who looked like he was gonna be one of those ones, man. But between I want to say injuries, man, yeah, between injuries and not a lot of game time, bro. Like you would think in 2022, like they found out that maybe he wasn't the best corner for them, right? Because this is productive, it is. But as we get into the Dan Campbell era, right, which starts around 2021, I think they start to realize that maybe he ain't the one for them. And they traded him to Atlanta, and now he is with the Minnesota Vikings. So this might be a last hurrah for Jeffrey Okuda, man. But for the Lions, I'm gonna call that a miss because he didn't play that long with them, and they found him expendable, in my opinion. So, but as I said, 2021, we get into the Dan Campbell era, and a whole lot of toughness and speed and versatility. So I like what I'm seeing out of what they drafted so far. So 2021, they go Penei Sewell, right? This is your tackle. This is your guy. The guy you want to change the culture of the team. He's been a Pro Bowler the last few years. He's been an All Pro the last few years. He started every game that he's played, all the time he's been there. So even opting out of the 2020 season to COVID kind of hurt his draft stock. I think he probably would have went higher had he had that extra game film. You know how that goes, right? A couple people was hurt a little bit, but not much, not much. I think Michael Parsons got hurt a little bit by that, but a couple people earned the chance to play. Jalen Waddle earned a lot of time playing that season. Jamar Chase, it didn't hurt him. He went top five, right? But nonetheless, Panay Sewell, I think you got the perfect player. Like you could have got Patrick Surtain. You could have. You could have got J.C. Horn, right? You could have. Now, back in the day, I think they probably would have. But Panay Sewell's the perfect pick. You start off building your trenches. You got some pretty good players that are still there, like Decker. You got some players that are still there. Frank Ragnow, you still got him. So let's just keep on building this toughness up front. And you draft Panay Sewell, and it's worked out pretty well, right? Rough season, so you're up to number 2 overall. But due to the Jaguars just kind of botching that draft by picking Trayvon Walker first overall, which I don't think anybody saw. Don't get me wrong, Trayvon Walker was good. Trayvon Walker was good in college, right? He was, but he was surrounded by a lot of talent, man. He was surrounded by a lot of talent. So you didn't really see first overall talent, right? What? What you want? What you want? What you want? You know who Aiden Hutchinson is? You know who Aiden Hutchinson is? Huh? You know who Trayvon Walker is? You know who that is? Huh? You don't know who it is. You know who Sauce Gardner is? You should know. You should know who Sauce is. Come on, man. Look at him. He wear the jersey. He wear the chain. He's Sauce. Stop playing. Anyway. Anyway. What's good, Wendy? Thanks for the like. Anyway, let's get into it. But this is a hit for the Lions, man. Aiden Hutchinson, really, really good. Then the next same year, they drafted Jameson Williams, went to Alabama, really good player, All American, good player, man. This is a hit. 1,000 yards. What?
I watch TV.
I'll find your remote. I don't know where it's at.
I know where it's at.
Okay, just don't break nothing.
I will not.
Don't break nothing.
I'm not.
Anyway, Jameson Williams turned out to be a pretty good pick, man. Even though he was coming off an ACL injury, he moved up to get him, and it worked out, man. And then 2023, they continue to add offensive weapons. Jahmyr Gibbs looked like a first round talent, but at Alabama, we was just stupid, and we didn't do nothing else, man. But he showed out. He led the team in receiving and rushing, so there you go. Then same year, 18th overall, they go Jack Campbell, and he's an all rookie team member. Still kind of early to see what still early. I'm curious about why the fuck he didn't play last year though. Yeah, I'm curious why the fuck didn't he play last year. Let's just say 2023. I ain't tripping. I ain't tripping now. Okay, I'm tripping. All right, well, nah, Wikipedia tripping. All right, nah, he played last season. He did. Rookie of the year. He was 8th in rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year. So yeah, productive as hell. 100 tackles last season. So yeah, this is a hit, and it's gonna continue to be a hit, man. And then 2024 they take Terry and Arnold, man. So mixed bag of chips. I mean, a lot of people say that it wasn't good last season, that he wasn't really a good player for them. But I say it's early, man. I say it's still early. The jury's still out, man. I think yeah, he won some interceptions, but they had a lot of injuries last season. If they can get healthy, I think that affects his interception total a lot, in my opinion. That's just me. But as far as an assessment, man, as far if we talking assessment from their all their actually first before we get into that assessment, man. Let's see what they should do this year. Because I believe the Lions are way down here, but they still have a first round pick. Do they still got it? Yeah, 28. So the Lions had some injury issues, man. We all knew that coming into the season, coming out last season. But Aiden Hutchinson should be back playing full strength, and I would give him another pass rushing mate. If you can get a James Pierce or you can get a Mike Green, right? I would do that. You got a really good defense, so if you can if you move up, then maybe you get a guy like Will Johnson, but I think he won't be there. If he slips, I'll be surprised. Everybody's like, oh well, this Travis Hunter thing kind of has them kind of shook a little bit. But I think if you give him like a good pass rusher, make somebody like James Pierce, I think you can actually win some games, bro. So that's where I think. I think they should go defense because offensively they're pretty good. St. Brown, Jameson Williams. I mean, you could go slot receiver, but um, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. But yeah, but they got the quarterback. Jared Goff is there from the Matt Stafford trade. So yeah, I think they'll be all right, man. They're one of the league's best teams, and they're going to continue to be one of the league's best teams for a while. So hopefully they can punch through that ceiling and get that first Super Bowl. But as far as the assessment from their 2000 till now draft, man, the early 2000s had a lot of misses, and then a lot of guys that either got hurt or were misused. So early 2000s is probably a C minus, right? But then we get into the late 2000s, and you pick up guys like Calvin Johnson, you pick up guys like Sue, you pick up guys like Pettigrew, and then Stafford, and then Nick Furley, and things like that, Zeke Johnson, right? So you pick up some good guys, right? 2010s were pretty good in my opinion. I think they hit on about 80, 90% of the guys that they picked. And then we get into the early 2020s, right? And of course, they kind of missed on Jeffrey Okuda, man, but that's okay because you end up hitting on when you get into the Dan Campbell era. You end up hitting on everybody so far because Jeffrey Okuda was more so a Matt Patricia pick than I think he was a yeah, I think he was a Matt Patricia pick. No, he was Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell. Okay. So he's Dan Campbell. All right. Oh, wait, why did I go 2020? Yeah, he's a Matt Patricia pick. All right. So yeah, he's a Matt Patricia guy. So you kind of figure that out for yourself. Matt Patricia wasn't good and he's not there anymore. So, you know, that's just how it goes, bro. Sometimes with this drafting and everything. I mean, you could have got CJ Henderson, maybe. You could have got Makai Becton, right? Could have helped with that. But either here or there, Matt Patricia's not there anymore, so it doesn't really matter. But as far as everything else in the 2020s, they hit on. They've hit on every draft pick that they've got so far. So um, when you're looking at the head coach, GM battery, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are working hand in hand, and it's worked. Yeah, they took a loss in the playoffs, man, but they just need to get in the playoffs healthy, and I think they can run through the thing. I think they can win it, man. They're one of the best teams in the league. and they're gonna continue to be the best teams in the league, man. So that's my assessment, man. That is the Lions' hits and misses since 2000. Um, Let me know what you think. Um, Cam Jr. was in here, but now he's wreaking havoc across the whole house. So I'm going to find him and hopefully stop him from messing up everything else. I appreciate you watching this series with us, and tell us what you think about the Lions, man. Obviously, they've hit on some picks, they've missed some picks. Do you feel like I feel about Joey Harrington? That I think that they mismanaged his career, and by drafting all those receivers instead of getting some O line help, things like that, was development an issue, man? Do you fault Steve Mariucci for being fired, really, when he was just kind of the scapegoat? Questions to answer in the comment box. But I will catch y'all on the next one as we will be discussing. We will be, let me find it, let me find it. We will be, let me see. The next team on the list that we will be talking about will be the Green Bay Packers. So we'll catch y'all again. This one won't be with Cam Jr. Let's just say that. But I'll be back to discuss the Green Bay Packers first round picks next time. But until then, don't forget to like and subscribe. This is your boy Cam, Football Frame of Mind. I'll catch you on the next one. We'll talk about the Green Bay Packers. Peace. I'll find a button. Bye.